Now, I'm sure you've seen Lavosh style crackers at your supermarket and it's very easy to pick up, but there's nothing more satisfying than making flatbread or crackers at home. And I'm going to show you how to make my version. I'm going to start with 250 grams of plain flour. I'm using a soft, low protein style flour for this. And I'm going to add a little bit of sugar to it. Now, Lavosh style crackers are really crispy, and what I love about them is you can change the flavors in it. Today I'm going to be using a combination of dried herbs and seeds like sesame seeds, but you could use parmesan, and you can add all different types of spices like cumin and caraway seeds. Now, I've added a teaspoon of caster sugar into the flour, so dry ingredients first. Also some salt, so about a teaspoon of salt. This is going to bring out the wonderful flavours of the spices and the seeds too. And now black sesame seeds, so about a tablespoon, and some dried herbs. So I'm just using mixed herbs here. You could also use dried oregano, works perfectly. And you can see how fantastic this is already looking. The speckles of black in here really makes this a unique cracker. Now for some white sesame seeds, again, this is also for the flavour. So we'll add a tablespoon in there. Mix all that up so we don't get clumps of the sesame seeds. And so all of that salt and sugar has been evenly distributed into the flour. I'm going to make a well in the centre and I'm going to add some butter. Now this is 30 grams of cubed butter. Make sure that you do cube it because it's going to be easier to crumble into our flour. So in that goes just a small amount of butter. And then with your fingertips, just like you were making pastry, break it up or tease the butter through your fingers like this, almost spreading it between your fingertips so it combines with our flour. Perfect. Now we need a little bit more moisture in here. So some milk. Using a wooden spoon, I'm going to add a little bit at a time. Mix it in, and I'm just going to reserve a little bit of the milk for later, just to sprinkle on the top of the lavosh, and then again incorporate this so a dough starts to form. That's looking pretty good now, so I'll take the wooden spoon out and with your hands get in there and start kneading and bringing in all of that flour mixture so we get one nice ball of dough. This is really fun to get the kids involved too. They love getting their hands in here and making their own crackers. You can see how easy it is to do, very basic recipe. Now that that's come together, we need to really use some elbow grease here to knead this so it's really soft. So it's going to take about 5 minutes. So just use a little bit of additional flour straight onto a clean board, and then we'll put the dough onto the board, and then you can release all of your stress into the dough. So now what I'm going to do is knead this for about 5 minutes so it's really soft, almost resembling pasta dough. Then I'm going to place it into a bowl and allow it to rest for about 1 hour. This dough is firmed up a little bit, and instead of rolling the whole thing, I'm going to divide it into quarters. It'll just make it much easier to roll out. And one piece at a time, just press down on it just to make a round disc, just like this. I'll get a little bit of extra flour on my board and just lightly sprinkle that on the board. And then with a rolling pin, I'm just going to roll it out as thin as I can get it. Now the thinner these are, the crispier they're going to go into the oven. So just take your time rolling them out into one long cracker. This is exactly how I want it. See how thin that is? Just perfect. Now with a sharp knife, cut them into strips, and then I'm going to cut them into really rough, organic looking squares. Sometimes the rougher they look, the prettier they are when they come out of the oven. I never like anything to look too uniform. Perfect. And then we're going to place them onto a tray. This has just got a little bit of baking paper on it, and make sure you give them a little bit of room between each cracker. Now I'm going to brush them with a little bit of milk, so that leftover milk that I had before, and 1 egg. crack that straight into the bowl. And using a fork, we're just going to whisk that, break that egg. And this is almost going to act like a glue for more seeds and spices. If you want another intense flavour, then this is great. So just with a pastry brush, very lightly brush the lavosh and then use a combination. I've got poppy seeds here, caraway seeds, and just lightly sprinkle on some of those on top. It's also going to give it a really lovely texture when you bite into them. So I'm going to finish these off. I'm going to allow them to air dry for about 5 minutes, and then they go into the oven around 160 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now these crackers have come out of the oven and I've allowed them to cool completely. It smells so good in here because all of those seeds and those spices have been toasting in the oven. And this is what it's all about, the crack. That crunch factor is why I get so excited about this recipe. It is foolproof. And you know what? When you make these for your friends and serve this at your next party, they are going to be so impressed. Yes, you can buy these at the store, but nothing's better than making them fresh at home. And I love to serve it with just a simple dip. This is heaven. Very good.